Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to talk about who is to blame for the high gas prices. So depending on who you listen to, you probably think a completely different person is to blame for gas prices. If you listen to Joe Biden, then you probably think it is almost 100% the fault of Putin and of the oil companies. Just yesterday, Biden even put out a tweet blaming Putin for the high gas prices. However, if you're listening to conservative talk radio or let's say Fox News, you probably think it's 100% Biden's fault. So in today's video, I'm going to go over how much blame we should put on Putin, Joe Biden, and the oil companies for causing high gas prices. First, Joe Biden. So he did say that he would like to suspend the federal gas tax. So most people don't know how much money that is. That is about 19 cents per gallon. So it would lower gas prices from like $5.10 per gallon to like $4.90. So it's still super high. However, he actually doesn't have the power to do that, and he needs Congress to do it. All he's saying is that he would like Congress to do it, not that it's actually going to happen. And Nancy Pelosi, the leader of the House, and Chuck Schumer, the leader of the Senate, have both been pretty non-committal to this idea, so I don't think it's actually going to happen. But the reason why Joe Biden is partially to blame for gas prices is for his support of climate change. So I know a lot of us like the idea of protecting the earth, but when you support climate change, then the oil companies are less likely to build new refineries, so we probably won't have an increase in oil production. And in case you didn't know, Joe Biden even considers himself a climate change pioneer. It says it right here on his campaign website. So before this year, he was against increasing gas production. And Joe Biden also canceled the Keystone Pipeline, which limits gas production as well. So I would say Joe Biden is about 25% responsible for the increase in gas prices. Next to Putin. Since Russia attacked Ukraine, a large part of the world has shut off Russian oil, so they're no longer buying it. But the whole world hasn't shut them off. In fact, China and India have increased the amount of oil they buy from them. So Russia isn't quite exporting all of the oil that they used to. However, they are still selling a lot of it. Since in between China and India, there's like 3 billion people. So those two countries alone can buy a lot of oil. But Putin is partially to blame. Because when Europe changed from buying oil from Russia to buying oil from the United States and the Middle East, it did take a lot of time and cost a lot of money to make the switch. And in the process of making this switch, it did cause the gas prices to go up slightly. And I know that a lot of the increase in gas prices has happened since Russia attacked Ukraine. However, I think that is largely circumstantial. I think that the gas prices were going to go up a lot anyway. However, it did compound on it a little bit to make it even worse. So while I don't like Putin as much as anyone else, I only put the blame on him about 15% for gas prices being high. So if you've made it this far, please consider subscribing to my channel for daily financial videos, and like if you liked it. But back to the video. Now to the oil companies. Before the pandemic in 2019, the United States produced about 19 million barrels per day of oil. However, when the pandemic happened, the world used much less oil, so some of the refineries shut down, and they have not reopened. And today in 2022, the United States only produces about 18 million barrels per day of oil. So that's about a 5% decrease. And while the amount of oil being produced has decreased, the amount of oil being used is back up to where it used to be. So since more people want oil than there is oil, the supply and demand are off and the price has gone up. So you may think, why don't the oil companies just open up more refineries? And it's not really that simple. It does take a lot of time and money to open up an oil refinery. And the world and President Biden have been saying that they want to move to renewable energy for years. So if you put yourself in their shoes and you think, would I want to open up more refineries when the world is moving away from oil? You might then understand why they haven't opened up more refineries. And I kind of understand their point, because in the short term, we may need more oil right now. However, if you look at it, let's say 10 years from now, we'll probably be using less oil than we are today. Another problem with the companies starting oil refineries today is that they're having a hard time finding the employees who are willing to do the work and know how to do the work. So even if they wanted to start a new oil refinery, they would struggle to do it. And while Biden has been publicly and privately pressuring the oil companies to open more refineries, he has not offered them any tax credits or loosened the environmental laws. So all of this together leads us to where we are now of oil companies not opening new refineries and the production of oil staying relatively the same. And also with oil companies to blame is they are making record profits right now. So while the oil companies are selling gas at kind of the market price, and they have not increased the amount of money that they make per gallon, they are making high profits, and they could reduce their profits if they really wanted to. However, that's not really what companies do. So overall, for the oil companies, I would put the blame on them at about 30%. And then finally, the fourth thing is just kind of everything else. One big thing to blame is the pandemic, since it caused oil prices to shoot all the way down and then all the way back up. Another reason for it is how Europe was trying to move towards being eco-friendly. Another thing to blame is the general inflation overall. So not just looking at gas prices of inflation, but looking how everything overall is at about 8.5% inflation. So it makes some sense that gas prices go up. Another reason for why it's gone up in the past month is that China is coming out of a major COVID lockdown. So China is using much more oil now that they're free and producing more things out of their factories. And there's several other reasons out there. But for the other category, I would put that blame at about 30% as well. So in review, who's to blame? Kind of everyone. So I put 25% of the blame on Biden for his climate change policies that made it harder for companies to open new oil refineries. Then I put 15% of the blame on Putin for his war against Ukraine, which kind of set the world into a bit of a mess. However, Russia is still selling most of their oil, just they're selling it now to China and India instead of Europe. Then to oil companies, I put 30% of the blame on them for not increasing supply. However, I do understand why they have not. And then finally, I put 30% of the blame on everything else, such as the pandemic, increased demand, inflation, and just kind of all that. But if you want, you can go to the gas station and put one of those Joe Biden, I did that stickers by the price of gas, because that could be kind of fun. Or you can blame Putin. It's really up to you. But now to everybody's favorite segment, the joke of the day. Joke of the day, do-do-do-do-do-do, joke of the day, do-do-do-do-do-do, joke of the day. Diesel prices are so high right now, Vin Diesel changed his name to Vin Electric. So thanks for watching my video. Please subscribe for daily financial content. Leave a like if you like the video, and leave a comment if you have any comments or ideas for future videos. Bye.